Jak mówiłem, witam was w kolejnym odcinku nagrywanym zaraz po poprzednim z gry Technomancer i wchodzimy do środka. Zanim gdzieś się tam udamy, oczywiście sprawdzamy, czy nie ma gdzieś nic do opitolenia. Tak jak to przypadkowo. Coś mamy, nowości jakieś.
Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have a moment?
Nie mam momentu. A ten momentu nie mam. Muszę poukradać wszystko, co jest możliwe. Dobra, czego chcesz?
Hey there,
Hello, I'm Brett. And you are?
Zachariah.
A pleasure then, Zachariah. Are you a hunting enthusiast, a trapper, specialist in local species? Maybe a strong fellow like you might be a mixture of them all.
Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm none of those things.
Ah, well, my hope got the best of me. I've been looking for someone to aid in my studies. A shame. Sure you're not a hunter, or even someone who'd want to try his hand at it?
Powiedz więcej, o co chodzi. Mogę
Can you
pomóc.
tell me what's going on?
Yes, of course. You see, the focus of my study is the planet's fauna, all the insects and animals brought by the settlers that have since mutated, much like our own mutants, if not in a more spectacular way. Now, I've studied the most well-known of the creatures, of course, but I have heard of much more rare specimens, which I would go to any lengths to study. It would offer great insight into the animal mutations. Anyone can admire their beauty, but what we need is to understand how they came to be what they are. We need to study their anatomy, but they are, of course, rather dangerous.
So you need a hunter to find them and bring back your specimens. I might be able to help. What are you after?
Well, there is so much. There's a black mole and a shield toad. Also a locust I've named Locusta tempestatus, or more colorfully, the storm locust. It's been spotted in the tunnels beneath Ophir.
No ciekawe. Burzowa
What can you
szarańcza.
tell me about the storm locust?
Locusta tempestatus. Well, very little but what has been told to me, actually. It is a creature, by all word, that seems to feed on electrical sources.
Interesujące.
Looks like an ordinary locust, which we know also shares the taste for electricity, but it's much larger. Perhaps its purportedly massive thirst for electricity is simply in proportion to its size? I don't know, but I'm hungry to
Nie, to
find
jest
out.
dziwadła, które nas
What do you know
rąbały
about the black mole, besides the fact that it's black?
w ofirze? No i podobne.
Well, its name is somewhat of a misnomer. It isn't really black. Darker than the others for sure, but not black. Its skin, though, seems to sweat venom. Wonderful, isn't it? Imagine.
Może
What a
ten stwór,
wonderful
którego
defense.
zabiłem
Yeah,
teraz
wonderful. Always
w
dreamed of
ostatnim
catching
odcinku
poisonous
chyba, albo
moles.
przedostatnim.
Isn't it fascinating? A beautiful scientific mystery.
Możliwe, że to o to chodzi. Tęczowa ropucha.
Already expecting the worst, but why is it called the shield toad?
Bo takie pawie
Those who have
puszcza.
had the rare opportunity to see this beautiful creature say its skin is nearly armor-like. In fact, nothing seems to be able to pierce it. No arrows, not even conventional weapons. The hunters take their best shot, but always run away terrified. Delicate little things humans are, but there has to be an explanation for this extraordinary mutation, and I must find it.
Spoko. No to do widzenia. Teraz na drugą mańkę, proszę. Tam widzę... Tu jest mój pokój. Miło. Też jest drzemne. Tak do świtu. 15 godzin niezmąconego snu. I właśnie dzięki temu mamy lepsze przychody doświadczenia. O to mi głównie chodziło. Nie wnikam, czemu tak siedzisz. Gratulacje, że cię nogi nie bolą. O, skopię sobie to miejsce. Będzie bliżej do zejścia. Dobra, czyli chyba nic po nas w tym momencie. Mogę iść na górę. Pierwszy poziom. Nic. Nika. Chodź tu do mnie. Wszystko co twoje jest moje, a co twoje jest moje. Będę mógł coś tu opitolić? Zanim mnie wezmę na gadkę szmatkę? Chyba nie.
Check the leading against me. Ah, and here comes the rare pearl. The diamond in the rough that my Nisha tells me about. Come, young man.
Zagrajmy. Was a lieutenant in Abundance.
Then welcome to Noctus Labyrinthus, Zagrajmy, former lieutenant of Abundance. I am Dandolo, head of this fair city.
Dolo chyba.
Legendary city of the merchants. Apparently less legend than I thought. Or been told.
But hopefully as glorious as legends proclaim. Regardless, for all who come seeking asylum, it opens its arms to you and your companions. You are free to
Miło.
call it home. Like all who have come before you, you will honor our only request, that you make yourselves useful to our city. I'm sure your skills will place you in high demand. Noctis' first Technomancer. Exciting. You'll have all the help you need with Nisha and Lucky, who I believe you've met. We'll give you a room to get some rest. I hear your trip was quite
Już go
eventful.
widziałem.
There is something else. I would like to personally discuss my expectations of you. You hear? War between Abundance and Aurora's winding down. Aurora took Green Hope.
Just left Ophir a few hours ago and didn't hear anything about that.
That really surprise you? Your little censorship office probably hasn't decided what to do with the information yet. No. Don't look at me like that. You don't belong to Abundance anymore. The truce doesn't behoove us. During peace, the corporations become more suspicious of us and our business suffers. Our city could even be discovered, which would be catastrophic. In legend, it must remain.
What do you...
No, let me speak. Your welcome here comes at a price. I want you to attack an Aurora convoy. It's right up your alley.
Ja cię wyglądam za
Why would I do
mordercę.
that?
I didn't finish. You will do it in Abundance uniforms, dissolving the truce. Do what you want with the soldiers, but let the civilians live. They need to be witnesses that will report back to Aurora.
So you keep the war going.
Precisely. And while you're at it, bring back the uniforms of the Aurora Technomancers you dispatch. I'm sure I'll find a use for them
Czemu
down
mnie
the
to nie
road.
dziwi?
Another thing, much more trivial this time, I assure you. The rover you came in on, I'd like you to move it. Put it wherever you want, do whatever you want with it. Just make sure it's not in the way in the canyon. I just don't want Ophir to stumble over the machine and, as a result, find the road that leads here.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Oh yes, one last thing. My spies gave me a little tidbit that might interest you. Right after your escape, the ASC arrested your Technomancer brothers. That's what you call them, right? From Ophir. Their fate's uncertain, but if I was you, I'd be worried for them. If you're worried enough to want to help them, maybe we can set up some sand sails to get you back.
And your help comes at what cost? Assuming it's not out of the kindness of your heart.
Don't be so bitter, Zachariah. Business is business, not personal. I just thought a few Technomancers on our side might be useful.
Nam pomożesz, ale będziemy pomagać tobie. Spoko, informacja o misjach. Atak na konwój z Aurory.
You want to attack a convoy to reignite a war? You know how many people die in those wars? How many are mutilated? Taken prisoner?
Not precisely, but I think I have a clear idea of the numbers.
Dużo.
Yeah.
Jak na liczbę
Every
wystarczy.
battle has its purpose, Zagrajmy. Abundance has fought Aurora for years for more power, out of idealism that their philosophies are more righteous than Aurora's.
Coś tu jest.
We don't just fight the corporations because of their damned ideals. What we do for our survival, for the survival of the misfits of Mars, the rejected, the poor, the outcasts of corporations. We fight for those who find a home with us, those I promised to protect. This mission worries you, and I get that. I do. Which is why I'm not asking you to attack your old brothers in arms, but rather just carry out the same attacks you did countless times before, under different command.
Pchnięcie łazika.
I don't know how I can move the rover. Pretty damaged.
I'm sure you can find a way to move it up here. Not sure sand sails can help, but maybe you can couple it to some ostriches. Maybe your explorer friend didn't tell you, but some corporations would start a war to own such a machine. I'd repair it if I were you. Hell, sell it if you don't think you'll ever need it. I'll be honest, though. Rovers offer freedom no other transportation does. Word is, they can even reach the North and South Poles. Just something to think about.
No ciekawe. Ratowanie technomantów.
How'd you find out about my brothers so quickly?
Well, besides the fact that your accident and eventful arrival slowed you down, my messenger sandsails make up in speed what they lack in protection. And of course, the arrests of Abundance's most powerful strike forces were worthy of dispatching agents to keep an eye on the situation. You haven't even given a thought to how this disrupts the current balance of forces, have you?
You know why they were arrested?
The official statement is that they were suspected of treason. Victor's pretext, I'm sure. He's a man who hates anything not under his control. Was probably planning this for quite a while.
My byliśmy
He didn't
zapalnikiem.
get what he wanted going at it indirectly, so he just took it head on. Whatever hope you have for their lives, I'd start to come to terms. They're probably being tortured for their secrets as we speak. And as soon as they give them up, they'll be executed. If you care about them...
Co postaci w frakcji... Odejdź. Odejdę, a najpierw cię pitolą ze wszystkiego, co tu masz. Dawaj to. Zastanawiam się, od czego by tu zacząć. Najlepiej chyba byłoby zacząć od Aurory. Od ratowania braci. Mamy tam jakieś siostry? Nie wiem. Przekonamy się. Dobra, jest tu ktoś jeszcze, kto chce mi jakieś zadanie wpieprzyć? Dobra. Pem. Mogę zejść tędy. Spoko. Szybciej będzie zejść.
I do not like that man. He's intelligent, but shifty. He wishes to fire up another conflict, another war. Blood, corpses, misery. Those things follow a merchant of death. We should never have left Ophir.
I would have died there, Scott. I'm sorry you had to come with me. I really am. You could have stayed. But I have to go see what Dandolo wants.
I know it sounds bad, but what do you think Abundance or Aurora would do if they found our little outcast city? Dandolo may be cruel, but in the end, he only wants what's good for Noctis.
I tu się z tobą zgodzę. Gadajmy.
Zach, perfect timing. You remember Abby Goodman, friend of mine you helped before?
No.
Yeah, of course. Is she really your friend, or all just part of the cover you had going on?
No, no, she is. She's a spy for Noctis too, though. She's actually been working on something for me and finally managed to get some info I'd been trying to get.
Twojej historii.
What information was that?
I spent a part of my life in a rehabilitation camp after my arrest in Ophir. It was the worst time of my existence, and I've always wondered how I'd ended up here. Who had turned us in? We were just a group of street kids. We would steal food here and there, but we weren't dangerous. However, we were arrested and deported to a camp like hardened criminals or terrorists. What happened followed me for many years, until I learned that an important member of the Vori clique was responsible for the deportation of dozens of people. Most of them were innocent, but a nuisance for the mob. I want to find that guy. I want to know if it's he who got us deported. I want to understand why, and make him pay. For me, and my companions, of course, but also for those poor people who hadn't asked for
Ja się chyba
anything.
domyślam, kto to mógł być. No spoko.
I understand. That man seems to be a real scumbag. I'll help you find him.
Thank you, Zach.
Osobiste pytanie. Dostałaś
How the hell did
pieniądze?
you go from being an artist in Ophir to a spy in Noctis?
Less of a stretch than you think. After all, a good lie, like good art, has to be close to your reality, right? Truth? I was an orphan. Parents did die, and I was on the street and got sucked into a gang. We all got arrested pretty quick and ended up in a rehab camp. Swore I'd die there, a couple of times because I wasn't gonna let them brainwash me, and they didn't take too kindly to that. I took the beatings, but got to keep my mind. Then, the day came. Noctis attacked. They freed a lot of us and brought me here, took care of us, gave us a chance to have lives again. So I felt like I owed them something in return and offered to go back to Ophir as a spy. Good thing, too. Otherwise, who would have torn you out of Victor's grip and brought you back here?
No, co tutaj o kochanków?
You always been alone? Or never had anyone you cared about?
You mean guys? Why? You the jealous type, Zach? Afraid of some competition? Scared you won't measure up? There was one guy, Nick. I was only 10, but I was head over heels for him. He died in the rehab camp after we were all
powiedział, że
deported
jestem
around the
zazdrosny.
same time, though. Other than
Powiedział
him,
Zagrajmy,
couple flings here and
wyciągając
there, but nothing much more
z
serious than
dwie
that.
armaty i jeszcze
You asking because you heard the
trzech
rumors in
tych
Ophir that
gości
I'd sleep
do
with anyone wearing a medal?
tortur.
No, I was just...
I did what I had to do, Zach. To do my job. Never cared about those guys. That's the truth.
You just did what you had to do.
Zapytaj o jej udowadnianie do muzyki.
You miss making music?
I miss performing. I mean, I still sing for myself here and there, write new lyrics when I feel inspired.
Śpiewaj dla nas.
But the moments I shared with my audience, it was so intense when I felt everyone
O, coś się
humming with me.
spieprzyło.
How about you sing for me?
Maybe another time. But I'd love
A
to.
najlepiej w łóżku.
There's something intimate in sharing your art, like sharing your soul. It's why I feel like music can unite people across corporations, on opposite sides of wars or causes. It's simply beautiful. And in between the notes, our differences seem to disappear. The second all this ends, I'll get back to it. It's what I was born for, and I'm not one to deny destiny.
Dobra, pogadaliśmy sobie z tobą. Teraz ty, Szkot.
Zachariah, you look good.
Dobra, przestań. Teraz nie mogę tobą jakichś prywatnych rozmów zrobić, tak jak z nią. Nie chciałem iść do pokoju. Chciałem wyjść z tego burdelu. Trochę taki burdel przypomina. Poniekąd. Złaź na dół. No i muzyczka się od razu zmienia. 5. Z tobą mogę pogadać.
Hello, Phobos.
To o niego samego. Mięciku matki.
What really happened with your mother? I must say I didn't understand much. That stone? The police's arrival?
My mother was helping me as much as she could to carry out my mission. She would provide me with information, sometimes hide mutants on the run before they could leave the city. She was a wonderful woman, Zach, but someone turned her in. Fiorello heard and raced to get me out with your aid. Though how I yearned to save her, to get to the slums to warn her. But I knew I could not. You, though, could. The stone was a token of recognition. She knew what it meant. If she was turned in, she had to leave as soon as possible. And if she couldn't, the drawing was made with an ink made of jellyfish venom.
Kapę.
But why give her that poison?
I didn't want her to die, Zach. I loved my mother. But I knew what the ASC would do to her in their jail. If they caught her, she needed a way to avoid being tortured.
Słusznie zrobił.
When did you discover that you were a mutant?
The first symptoms of mutation appeared when I was very young. I must say that I can't really remember very well. My mother noticed them, and she taught me how to hide the marks, even though I think that I didn't know what it meant. She was hoping to keep me close to her, but as soon as the first marks appeared on my face, they spotted me out right away. I will never forget my arrest, how violent they were toward my mother. I was just a kid. I was sent to one of the farms on the outskirts of town. That's where I learned what it meant to be a mutant.
Nacja mutantów.
What's the Mutant Nation? You created it, right?
It is a little overblown, but I was one of its founders, among many others. Of course, other mutants were living outside the city as runaway slaves, hidden here and there, stealing whatever they could find in order to survive. A small community had settled in Noctis and benefited from the hospitality of the merchants, who allowed them to move around freely. However, we did not have any way to defend ourselves or plan a future. We were all spread out. A few of us decided to get together. We found a place, a very unique one, and we soon started doing it up, bringing in equipment and erecting houses. As for me, I especially wanted to free as many brothers and sisters as possible. So I went back to Ophir, and I realized that nobody cared about mutants, especially if they didn't look very smart. I began to help dozens of them escape. And our nation soon began to grow. There are a lot of us now, and I hope that all mutants will be able to live there someday.
Fajnie, że się czegoś dowiedzieliśmy o nim. Z tobą chcę pogadać?
Hello, Amelia.
Hey. You know I'm mad at you, right? You realize what you did to me? You stole my rover, took me to that strange city, and left her in the middle of nowhere. I know that you were nice to me, but still.
Dandolo wants me to bring your rover back here.
Now he's just showing off. At least he knows how much a machine like that one is worth. Unlike you, you do realize that my rover dates back to the settlers? I cared for her like a mother, maybe even more. Bring her back to me. She's got sentimental value and she's all I have left. In the meantime, I'll go find the tools to repair her. And I'd also like to talk to you in private, if you don't mind, regarding what you discovered in Ophir.
Prywatne sprawy, nie dzieciństwo.
Tell me more about you growing up.
What's there to say? I was a ward of the state in Abundance's centers. It was lonely and, you know, the other kids were assholes, but I gotta tell you, those times my dad returned from his missions, when I got to see him, best times of my life.
Wait, what? I thought the reason you'd been placed in a center was that your dad disappeared.
Who the hell told you that? No, I was real young when they took me away. My parents were always off on missions and someone had to take care of me, you know? I don't even remember living with them. Honestly, I don't want to talk about it.
Sure, sorry. Yeah, of course.
Ups. To nie zajmowania.
Besides your rovers, what else makes you happy here, Amelia?
Nature. Not the bugs or animals and stuff, but the landscapes, you know? Sunsets, mountains scraping the sky, red water trickling down the hills in the spring, gray lichen floating in the morning breeze. Back in Ophir, I used to take the rover out before sunrise just to take it all in. Always managed to put things in perspective, you know? How small we all are.
Amelia the poet philosopher. Who'd have thought it?
Why you gotta be a smartass?
Aha, I'm not. I just never saw that side of you. The passion makes me want to take a rover out before dawn tomorrow.
Let's go together. I've always wanted to share it with someone.
Czemu nie? No i naprawiliśmy. Życie uczuciowe. To chyba zły pomysł, ale spoko.
What, you mean a boyfriend? No, not right now. You applying for the position?
Dlaczego nie?
I mean...
Look at your face. You can't even come up with something to say. Listen, you don't look half bad, soldier. Won't take too much for me to cuddle up with you at night.
O, jesteśmy już przyjaźni. Na przyjaźni. O to mi chodziło. Kim ja jeszcze tu mogę pogadać? Tobą.
Hey, there you are. Your meeting go well.
As well as hope.
Leciało.
Thanks.
Then let's get down to business. You know who I am. You know my past. You know what little I have left. What are you gonna do about it now is the question. You gonna use what you can against me? Or let me carry on with the small life I've managed to build?
Pomoże ci.
I
Pomoże
want
ci
to
tak.
help you. What can I do?
Some things can't be healed, Rogue. Like that scar across your face. I'm guessing you got it the day I lost everything. And was reduced to a sad, broken, armless shadow of what I might have been.
Some things can't be healed, but most can be mended, friend. Let me ask around. It might be a long shot, but maybe you'll find a new reason to call yourself lucky again. We'll find someone who can lead you back to your gifts. I promise.
I may be bitter, but I'm no less grateful. Thank you, Zachariah. A little show of kindness goes a long way.
I can't deal with it right now, but when I get a chance, I'll look into it.
That's good enough for me. You'll come see me later then?
A, sprzedać ci kopa w dupę na rozpęd. Informacja o bohaterach lub frakcjach. Ocenie osobiste. Wypadek.
What happened that day?
Tracimy punkt za to.
I had a
Jestem
surge.
pewien.
A big one. One even the Masters never saw coming, literally. Before they even knew what was happening, I electrified everyone and everything around me. It screamed like thunder from my body, before the ceiling itself finally collapsed in on me. I woke up in the infirmary without an arm, surrounded by all those powerful Masters who stood there shaken, whispering, their eyes still filled with fear. Then everything went dark again, and I woke up in a sand sail.
A jednak, dostaliśmy plusa. Jego
Why aren't you
rodzina.
with your family?
Right, my family. They were small-time merchants. I'm sure real proud their son was gifted with Technomancy and was joining the school. But they were also scared as shit of me for the same reason. We're all scared of what we don't understand. It's why so many fear us both. Not that I'm sure any of the Masters even asked them to take me back. It was more important to them that I disappear for good, to hide what happened, keep the illusion of their infallibility intact. Also, to hide the fact they
Ja miałem
had
takie
people
szczęście,
among
że
them who
akurat
had
on
the power
pisze,
to take down entire
Ragnarok
buildings.
pisze akurat jak coś nagrywam.
I had to go. In some ways, they even did me a favor.
And you never tried to reconnect with them? Even after you got free?
No, I looked for him. Even tracked down my father, who was just this old man. Didn't even recognize me. And if he did, he'd probably just hate me for what I've become.
Tym kaleką?
A crippled outcast, not something you'd put your pride in. So I let it lie, just walked away.
O. Jego talent do technomancji.
What about your gift? I thought people died if they didn't use their fluid.
It's a myth. There are rogue technomancers out there. Not a lot, but a few. They know how to control their fluid surges. Probably the only thing that piece of shit Marcello could take credit for. He introduced me to one of those guys, and after that, I learned to control it the
O,
hard way.
interesujące.
The irony, no? I'll never be a technomancer now, but I control the fluid better than any of Abundance's masters. Not for power, just to make sure my own brain doesn't fry.
Mógłbyś nas tego nauczyć? Jego życie po tamtych wydarzeniach.
What have you been up to since you left?
What have I done? Well, after spending 10
Tańczył na
years
róże,
of
wiesz?
my life as a slave trying to pay that piece of shit Marcello back for what he called my debts, traveled in his luggage hold, did his dirty jobs, whatever he needed to get his business going. Carried crates, drove sand sales, shoveled sand, ran errands, but mostly just picked his customers' pockets. I traveled a lot, though, if I'm going to find any silver lining in it, and have earned my damn place here in Noctis. Even if the price of that has been rarely sleeping in a real bed or reading a book that wasn't about accounting.
Fajnie,
Should
powiedz
have
komplement.
remembered you. Back when we were kids, the world just revolved around you.
Really? How so?
Urok. Seweryj ma trochę. To wpływa w jego talencie do technomancji.
I know it nearly killed you, but you were so gifted. While the rest of us worked, Technomancy just came so easy to you. It was amazing to watch.
The fact that it was easy is what cost me so much. The high I got from manipulating so much fluid was... well, you saw the result. If I talked for 1,000 years, I couldn't even touch the tip of the regret I have.
You can't blame anyone but our professors. They should have known better. How could you? They just got sucked into watching your power like the rest of us. It was hypnotic.
Too bad all that power isn't enough to let me go back in time and change it all. But I guess what's done is done.
Przeszłości nie zmienić, ale przyszłość zawsze możesz. Józef się kurwa mnie odpalił. Coś chciałem tutaj zrobić jeszcze, z kimś pogadać. Komuś wjebać. Coś tam zgadać. Wejść do kaplicy. Wejść do magazynu grabieżców w Ofirze. Zabij szarańczą burzową. Tamtej. Tu. Ten mańkut. Trochę przegadany ten odcinek w sumie dzisiaj, ale spoko. Najważniejsze, że zyskaliśmy trochę w oczach naszych towarzyszy. Nawet jebnęliśmy komplement nieudolny, bo nieudolny, ale zawsze. Gadaj ze
Hey
mną.
there.
What do you want, human?
Pogadać. Proszę o, by odzyskali łać.
I took the rover all the way down into the canyon. Unfortunately, that's where I hit a wild ostrich, and now the thing won't drive. Heard you might be able to help get it back here.
And why exactly would we want to help you? We who are just monsters to you and your kind, even here. One of us was just lynched. And what
Mogę
did
wam.
your kind do about it? Nothing. And when we are sick, what one of you would help us even in fair exchange for serum? Why then, answer me, would we help you now?
Napisaj o Lynch
You said
najpierw.
there was a lynching. Tell me about it. Maybe I could help.
The last time a man helped a mutant, it was only to bring a chair to help him reach the noose. And those that didn't participate watched and did nothing.
Who were these men?
It was those crazy religious zealots who hate us. Believe we have no souls. If we want the prince to do something, we need evidence. Same goes for handling it ourselves. But all we have is the body of our brother. We won't punish an innocent. We are not like
Mogę go
them.
zbadać?
Not all humans are like that. Maybe I'll have some better luck asking around. I'll look into it.
A tu mam się zakupić. A próbujemy jeszcze to zrobić. Jestem ciekawy. Później zajebiemy tego, kto zrobił. Namordujemy. Na śmierć. Tak, jestem zły i dobrze mi z tym. Niektórych trzeba zabić. Po prostu i tyle. Jestem przekonany, że ja takie same wybory bym wykonał w życiu. Ej, gołodupcu, gadaj ze mną.
Welcome, welcome.
Tak, tak. Zapytają o powieszeniu
Did you
mutanta.
hear about that mutant who got lynched? I want to know who did it.
I see. But why do you think I would know anything about
Bo
it?
jesteś kupcem, wiesz wszystko.
You know what goes on in that neighborhood like any merchant should. And you don't think that this kind of story is bad for business? The mutants are furious. You really want them to turn the whole city upside down in order to find the culprit?
You're not wrong. I guess that we'd better turn in the culprits and be done with it. It's a gang of fanatics from the temple that lynched that poor guy. Oh, it was awful.
Why didn't you do anything then?
A co miało zrobić?
It was an angry crowd, and I mean, I have nothing against mutants, of course, but
Oczywiście.
A spine like a jellyfish, but it walks like a human. Thanks for the information, I guess.
Odejdź. Fanatycy, chodźcie do mnie. Kastruję was. A później wam wepcham te wasze zwiędłe fiuty prosto do gardła. Ale zanim to save. Tędy szybciej chyba będzie. O, nawet zgadłem. Te fanatyki, chodźcie, chcesz się wpierdol?
Gentlemen, you are responsible for an awful crime. It's pointless to try to deny it. Several witnesses saw you. You didn't even try to be discreet.
We didn't have to hide. We're carrying out a divine mission, and nobody will prevent us from doing so. Not even you. Come on,
Jesteś
guys!
tego pewny,
For
gościu?
the shadow!
Hey, get that gun!
Proszę bardzo, w imię cienia macie śmierć.
Stop by the shadow! Stop! Yes. Yes. We killed the soulless mutant. But who cares? They gave their souls to the sun and betrayed the shadow. And their horrid forms became punishment. Why does it concern you?
Whatever your superstitions, over here, mutants are free. And believe me, when they learn that you're behind all this, I wouldn't bet that you'll get out of this alive.
No, no! I beseech you, don't tell them. Think about the turmoil it will create in the city, the riots. How about raising their
Nie.
doubts over something else? You would be rewarded.
Pierdol się. Doniosę na was, jesteście noje warte tyle co gówno. A chociaż nie. Przepraszam, gówno jest więcej warte niż wy. A mi się do czegoś przyda, nie tak jak wy. Jest tu kurwa zejście. A tu jest, dobra. Kogo mam donieść? Ja tu mam na nich donieść. No co? Należy się im. Śmierć też przez powieszenie najlepiej. I z przyjemnością im to uczynię. Mógłbyś powiedzieć troszkę szybciej, co, kolego?
Hey there. What do you want, human?
Odzysk łazika, powiedz o co wydarzyło się podczas linczu.
Regarding the investigation you asked me to do. Did you find anything? Who killed our brother?
Doniosę
The
nam.
eyewitness testimony is clear, and they've even confessed. It's the work of religious fanatics.
Assholes. I knew it. We're gonna make them pay. Your help has been appreciated. And I see that there are exceptions to the selfishness that pervades most of your kind. We will get your vehicle, but it will take some time. We can only work at night, and the ostriches will have a hard time with
Ma
such a
sprawę.
large machine. We should have it back within 12 hours for you.
Szybko jak w 12 godzin to odzyskacie.
Funny and inspiring. Having domesticated ostriches tow a vehicle that was wrecked by wild ostriches. Civilization coming to the rescue against the wild. These creatures are quite remarkable. I didn't think that we could modify the physical appearance and psyche of animals without manipulating them genetically. Brilliant!
Ja jak zwykle się podnieca. Ja mam tutaj u niej kupić.
The most exotic goods on the planet.
Tak. Kwestia dotycząca ataku Aurory.
I just need information.
The only information I have is about my goods.
Standardowa. Obejrzyj towary. Trójta. Ja miałem maska termiczna z Aurory. I krótka. Coś miałem kuźwa kupić. Mundur oficer. Raz, dwa. Kurwa, sterów nie mam. I gnoju! Co mogę sprzedać? Hełm Jeffreya. Odporność na elektryczność. Masz. Sprzedam ci to. Hełm ci sprzedam. Na eksplorację. Podstęp zostawię. Gogle sprzedam. Kaptur gangstera zostawię. Gaz górnika. Maska spawacza. Hełm niech będzie. Tak, to ma otwieranie zamków. To na razie zostawię. Krótka najemnika. Damy. Krótka technomanty. No. Tak, sprzedaj. Grabieżców. Mamy ciężką krótkę grabieżców, więc lżejszą mogę sprzedać. Krótka mrocznik żołnierz pełni. Sprzedaj. Sprzedaj. Tworzenie. Regeneracja mocy. Sprzedać. Mam inne coś podtworzenie? Nie, naukę zostawię. Tu mamy podtworzenie. Mamy też podnaukę, tak? Nauka. Tak, czyli mamy dwa podnaukę. No to... To weź jedno sprzedaj. Kartki. Karmy zostawię. To sprzedaj. Sprzedaj. Okay. Mamy, dobra. Łachmany żebraka. No, łachmanu żebraka nie potrzebuję w tym momencie. Tak, tworzenie mamy. Charyzmę. To mogę sprzedać w takim razie. Tak. Tworzenie, charyzma, nauka. Tu tworzenie mogę to sprzedać. Mam zręczności. To też mogę sprzedać. Mamy pułapki, spoko. Teraz z butów. Portek. Mam odporność na truciznę, odporność na odporność. To mamy te spotki sprzedać. Stary spodnie. Spodnie kadeta też mogę sprzedać. Butów. To praktycznie to samo. Dobra. Stawię. Nie będą na przykład belek 4. Jak to posprzedajemy. Dobra. Broń mogę jakąś sprzedać? A, tak mogę sprzedać. Ławę mam lepszą. To sprzedaj w takim razie. Młot też sprzedaj. I ten stary tasak też sprzedaj. Rurkę mogę sprzedać. Sprzedaj. Pistoletów nie korzystam, bo nawet nie mam odpowiedniej zręczności. Ale zostawimy parę pistoletów. Na pewno przydadzą. Serwisy z Aurory tą. Jedną. Oko. Teraz mogę kupić te. Wdzianko. Mundur oficera pełni. Raz, dwa, trzy. Potwierdź. Mam kupione. Teraz pewnie przywdziać, co? Mundur oficera pełni. Mundur oficera pełni. Mundur oficera pełni. Zrobione? Zrobione. To jest ja kurwa mam tu sobie. Nie to. Mundur oficera pełni, tak. Ty. Mundur oficera pełni. Kot. Mundur oficera pełni. Dałem tego, co? Teraz będzie zaliczone, tak. Teraz zaliczone, dobra. Drogi, won mi jest z drogi. Dziękuję bardzo. Zobaczmy teraz zadanka, jaki mamy. Znaczy plecak mogę zajrzeć. Już do kanału. A, do ofiszy. Anuluj, na razie nie. Mam zrobione, tu też... Tu mógłbym coś władować. Pytanie tylko, czy mi... Chcę. Do innego drzewka przejdę teraz. Albo... Weźmy tutaj. Dodaję. Wydłuża znacznie czas na wykonanie krytycznego uniku. Nie będzie, potwierdź. Dobra, na tym moi drodzy skończymy ten odcinek. Trzymajcie się ciepło i pa pa!